So with Mars, let's start by talking about his passive skill, which is actually really good compared to most characters' passive skill. So his unique passive grants all allies debuff immunity for 1 turn at the start of combat. That is insanely good in PvP. So like when people are trying to stun you, bleed you, burn you, whatever, that's going to help you have debuff immunity, which is really, really nice. Okay. And then for his skill 1, Mineral Fragment, 60% chance to inflict taunts on an enemy for 1 turn, which is going to make them attack Mars, which is really good. Now you get an additional effect if you have his skill card, which we'll talk about here in a little bit when we talk about skill cards. I don't have his skill card, so unfortunately I don't have that effect, but I feel like he's still really good even with just this effect. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then if you do upgrade this skill, you get additional taunt activation as you upgrade it, so it's a really good one to upgrade. And then looking at skill 2, Mineral Assault, 40% chance to inflict a stun status ailment on an enemy for 1 turn, inflicts a reduced defense level 3 debuff on an enemy for 2 turns if they are afflicted with a stun status ailment. And then if you increase this one, you increase your chance of stunning, which is really, really good. You can have a 60% chance to stun the enemy, which is insane. And that's really annoying and really good in PvP. And then for his special skill, I don't even know how to say that, Leviathan, I think is how you say it, grants a Fortify level 3 buff for 2 turns, 25% chance to inflict an extend status element duration by 1 turn debuff on the enemy. And then if you upgrade this, it extends, your chance of extending the duration is increased by 10% each time, so you can have a 45% chance to extend status element duration. Now the thing is, I probably wouldn't recommend upgrading his special skill. I would do that last because more often than not, you're going to be using Mars with Lotus if you're lucky enough to have him, and you're going to want to use this skill because when you use Mars with Lotus, right, you get the inflicts a reduced all attack level 1 debuff on the enemy for 2 turns if their mobility is 50% or less, and then a 40% chance to inflict taunts on an enemy for 1 turn. And this is an AoE attack, so that's a 40% chance per person you hit to taunt them, which is really, really good, right? And then, of course, Lotus lowers mobility, so there's a high chance that you reduce their attack as well. So you're going to be using the combo attack on Mars's turn more than you're going to be using his special skill. Otherwise, it is kind of worth upgrading a special skill, but that is the one I'd probably do last, okay? So I would upgrade either his first or second skill first. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking to taunt or are you looking to stun? I would probably go second skill first since you have the taunt with the combo skill, right? So I'd probably go skill 2, skill 1, combo skill, even though, you know, upgrading it doesn't do a ton, but when it's with Lotus, but if you do it alone, it upgrades your activation rate for your stun, which is good there because it gets stunned there too. And then I would upgrade his special skill last. So second, first, combo, special when it comes to upgrade priority for Mars. And then if we take a look at his skill page, the skill page I have on him, I really, really do like. It is a generic skill page that most people can get. It's called Moonlight Necklace, and it grants a 40% increased defense buff. That's really good for Mars, right? And a 6% increased HP recovery buff, which is really nice. Okay, so that skill card is like my secondary recommendation after his skill card. So with his skill card, if you're able to get it, it's going to apply Survival of the Fittest as a passive, and it applies a 4 to 8% Fortify buff to yourself upon taking damage, and it can stack up to 4 times, but it goes away at the end of each turn. And basically that just reduces the damage taken. Fortify is really good in this game if you haven't figured that out yet. And then for the skill change, it changes skill 1 and adds the additional effect right here of granting increased defense level 1 for 2 turns whenever you use his skill 1. So his skill 1, now instead of just taunting, also gives defense. So overall, I would say Mars' skill card is the best possible option for him. Okay, but if you have this Moonlight Necklace, it's another good option. And I kind of said the same thing when I did Lotus's guide, you know. I feel like those are the 2 best skill cards for this character, and Moonlight Necklace is just a good option for Mars or Lotus as a secondary option. All right, and then for gear on Lotus, not Mars, Mars, not Lotus. Wow, my brain is all over the place. For the gear on Mars, okay, this is a little bit interesting, but what you're going to want to go for on Mars is defense, if you can get it, as much defense as you can get, right, for the 4 big pieces. And then for the small pieces, you could go for attack or magic attack. It doesn't really matter. I would recommend probably attack because his attack is a little bit higher. So if you increase your attack, it's going to be better for damage. But let's face it, Mars isn't really doing damage. The main reason these three are here is so that we can complete the gear sets that we need to complete, okay? So go for defense and then go for gear sets. The gear sets you're going to want is 2 defense gear sets. What I have right now is a defense health gear set. I will eventually change out the health gear set for another defense gear set. I just didn't have enough gear to get 2 defense gear sets. But basically, if you can get 2 defense gear sets, you'll increase defense by plus 250%. And there's another defense gear set that increases your defense by 30%. Or yeah, 30%, which is really, really good to have on Mars. I don't have that one on him, but eventually I will get it on him. So right now, in place of that, I have max HP plus 2000, and a little bit of extra HP is never going to hurt anybody. It gives him a little bit more survivability. So if you lack defense sets, I would say HP sets are another potential option you could run. And then the third set you definitely want to have with Mars is a speed set if you can get it. Now, the speed set I have right now, it only grants me extra speed. For the 5% increased speed buff for 2 turns at the start of a wave, right? So it's only for 2 turns. If you could get a full 4 speed set, I still probably wouldn't do it on Mars. I would do it on Lotus, but not Mars, because it takes up too many spots in your gear. So go for like a 2 speed set and two defense sets is what I would go for, and go for as much defense as your main stat as possible when building Mars. As far as accessories go, I wouldn't worry too much about accessories because, you know, most people don't have a ton of accessories right now. If you do get lucky enough to get accessories, just throw whatever you can on him, honestly. The more defense you can get, the better. Just in general for like substats and stuff like that. Damage resist. If you're getting damage resist on your substats, you're winning for the accessories. And then for enhancement, should you guys be enhancing Mars? Well, if we take a look at his level 2 enhancement, this means you would need 2 dupes to get here, right? 5% reduced damage taken when being attacked. That's good. Anytime we're reducing damage, that's good. But is 5% really worth it? I would say not really. And then if we look at when you enhance him all the way with 5 dupes, 10% reduced damage taken when being attacked. Like, it's just not worth it, right? It's not worth it to fully dupe Mars. Like, Mars is good enough on his own. You're not going to notice that much of a difference between a fully enhanced Mars and a not fully enhanced Mars. Yes, it increases your stats, it increases your combat class, but I don't think it's necessary to make the character viable in the game. And you'll notice that most people that are using this character probably don't have him fully enhanced. They might have 1 or 2, maybe 3 copies into them if they pulled a lot or got lucky, but it's just not necessary, okay? So when it comes to enhancements, don't worry about having a fully enhanced Mars. Just having him is good enough for you. And then looking at his talents, when it comes to the attack talents, this is a defender type mage, right? It does not really matter what you pick for his attack talents, okay? I would not pick the magic attack because he is more attack oriented. So if anything, I would probably pick like the attack plus 7% and the damage dealt plus 5%. Those are probably the 2 I'd pick for Mars, just to give him a little bit more damage if that's what you're looking for. And then on defense, of course, a defender type character, add as much defense as possible. So pick that one, the primary one that's already there. It's preset there. Pick increased defense plus 20%. Insanely good, right? Also pick endurance. Grants defense plus 4% and crit resist plus 2% at the start of a wave. It stacks up to 5 times. That's really, really good. It's going to help you in PvE. Okay, so PvP, PvE, pick those. It's going to be best for both. When it comes to the support talents, what you're going to want to pick for Mars is probably the Mage's Blessing down here. So I'm going to rotate this. And the reason you want this is because it's going to allow you to use your skill 2 more and potentially land more stuns. You actually don't want to pick Swiftness, which is what you end up picking on a lot of characters, because this one gives you extra special points towards your special gauge to give you your special back faster. However, you're not really using your special on Mars. You're going to be using your combo attack most of the time, whether it's with Lotus or anyone else, because when you use it with anyone else, you get the stun. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about this particular one. These are going to be the 2 best options for you. Damage resist plus 10%, and then a 20% chance to grant a reduced skill 2 cooldown so you can use it more and stun people more. Those are going to be your best support options, so choose those 2 when you guys pick those talents for your support part of the tree. And then what teams does Mars fit well on? Well, the short answer is pretty much any team you want, okay? So this is exactly the same team I showed for the Lotus video. You could use Mars with Lotus right here, with William, with Yami. It works really, really well. Another possible option, we'll switch Julius in here, we'll switch Charmy in here. All blue team works insanely well You know, that team works really, really good. Other options, maybe if you don't have those characters, if I scroll down here and find them, you could run any of these blue characters. You could run Nozel, you could run Fauna, you could run Ghost. They would all work fine. But if you don't have the new UR Season 2 Charmy, you could run free-to-play Charmy, and that's incredibly annoying. Most people have Julius at this point, but if you don't have Julius, you could always find other characters to run as well. Maybe you want to run Season 1 Yami. This is a team that was ran for a long time. It's a really good option. You don't always have to run Mars with Lotus. Lotus needs Mars, but Mars doesn't need Lotus, because with the combo skill on Mars, you can stun people. So you could honestly run Mars with whoever you want. A good person to run Mars with potentially is Noelle, because you get the attack all from Mars, and then you get the attack all from Noelle, and it works really well together. Another person you could potentially run with Mars would be like, where is he? Red Yami. Red Yami also has that attack all. Let me switch them here.
Let's go, recruits!
So you can run Red Yami and Mars together. You could potentially, let's say if we were going to switch out one of these characters, we'll go like this.
I can handle him.
That could potentially be a really good team, right? Because you have 2 blue characters, 2 red characters. It kind of balances out. So that could be a good team. There's just so many teams you could choose with Mars, right? So go for one of those teams. Try them out in PvP, PvE if you guys want. They'll work for both. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. And thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.